This is Season 2, Episode 10 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, who skipped X-Wing this week, so is not appearing in this game.
Yes, I am back on the table with actually quite an interesting game, which is good. I have been flying B-Wings recently, as regular listeners will know, but I have also been flying another list in the background. And I have decided that B-Wings are good, but for me, just not quite as much fun as this list. And I think that's an important part of X-Wing.
Yeah, that is probably the main part of X-Wing.
Yes, it's my competitive game. Yes, I like winning. I'm not going to intentionally fly a bad list at a tournament, but I want to enjoy myself. I'm there to have fun and play people. Yes, I like to win. Yes, I'm competitive, but I can lose and have fun and enjoy the day. I can not lose and not have fun and not enjoy the day. So to that extent, I've mentioned it a couple of times actually on the podcast. But this evening I am flying my, well, I suppose let's call it Rebel Alpha. It's pretty much what it is.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
let's not pretend.
And to that extent, I have Battle of Endor Wedge. And for people who are unfamiliar with the new stuff, Wedge is in the T65 X-Wing. He gets a shield upgrade, so he's secretly a T70.
Yeah, makes sense.
He gets advanced proton torpedoes. He gets Predator. He gets It's a Trap, same as the B-Wings. So if he has small friendly ships range 0 to 1 while defending, he can reroll blanks. And he has R2A3, which is after he performs an action, he may spend one charge to acquire a lock.
Nice.
And Wedge has a very nice action bar. He's got barrel roll into red focus. He's got focus into a boost. They do have, I can't remember what the exact title is, something like Locked S-Foils.
Locked S-Foils is what it is.
And basically that means that when he does boost, he gains a deplete. But hey, Fenn's in the list, so if you've boosted into range 1 to get that APT, there goes the deplete. So long as, you remember the triggers. And
yeah, so long as you remember the triggers. Something you definitely do, right?
Yes, I'm well known for remembering my triggers. I have Fenn in the Fang, not crew in this list, and he is running marksmanship, Beskar reinforced plating, and swarm tactics. Boy Luke, everyone knows Boy Luke, it's good. Boy Hull, with the APT, again can double mod himself, and with the help of Fenn, could be shooting that off at I6. And then Sabine, because I have 2 points left, and it's arguably one of the best 2 points in the game. So, yeah.
Nice and straightforward. So I guess the interesting point of thing here is, no A-Wing, you've brought Hull instead, and I'm guessing that's the thinking behind the swarm tactics.
Yes.
Luke does get value, not quite as much as Hull. Chances are Hull is going to be near Fenn more than Luke is going to be near Fenn.
Yeah, exactly. It's the main reason for swarm tactics. Although Luke is a choice sometimes, but it's the, say you're flying against something like Vader Jendon, and they're just like, hey, well, I'm just going to swoop in and kill that Y-Wing before it shoots. And they've got a reasonably good chance of doing it. It means you can't. So it makes people think, especially if you land range 1 and I focus locked, like, do you want to take that APT back?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I have Amanada actually about putting an A-Wing in instead, which would free up Fenn to have Predator and Mando optics, which is what I was flying on him before I put Swarm Tactics, and I have missed Predator a few times. But yeah, and I'm playing Chris tonight because we like roping in the Burnets for podcast games.
Yeah, and they always make for interesting games.
I'll let you run through his list.
Yeah, so we've got some repeats. Funnily enough, we've got Endor Wedge because it's a good ship. Boy Luke because it's a good ship. Gemma Sojourn from Battle of Endor because he's an interesting little 3-pointer. He's quite durable. as long as he's got a token, and he's got a decent little cannon. I can't quite remember exactly what his abilities, but he has It's a Trap, so he's got the rerolls. He's got precision tuned cannons, which is sad proton cannons.
No, it's not. So his precision tuned cannons are range 2 to 3, full front arc.
Yeah.
And then they add a focus if you're in the bullseye. He
Yeah,
has
it's just a 2 dice cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, he has possible 3. Is there? He has vector cannon, so he has a turret and the boost. He has target assist algorithm, which is when he engages. If he does not have a green token, he gains a calculate. So if you've had to spend the focus on defense, you can still get a mod. He has chaff particles, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
You gain a strain to change 2 of your defense results to focuses.
No, it's not. That, I believe, is his pilot ability.
Oh, okay.
I think chaff particles is something like when you defend, you can spend a focus token to remove a red or orange token, something like
Possibly.
that.
Either way, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then finally, I would argue the spicy thing, because Gemma is just like, I feel like Gemma is just the sort of character who is like, he's your choice of 3-point A-wing. Like, he's your whole.
Yep.
Because in Rebel List, you sort of end up in that weird spot where you have 10 points left, and then you can either go like 5-3-2, 4-4-2, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But Chris has taken the 7-3 option, because he's got Kanan Jarrus in the Ghost. With heightened perception, dorsal turret, the child, Ursa Wren, and agile gunner.
Yes.
So that's an interesting one.
That makes this list very interesting. Because
Kanan is going to stop you from chunking away at his other ships, and if you go into Kanan, you're probably going into a reinforced Ghost.
So this is the 3rd time in the last few weeks that I've played Chris. Specifically, this matchup, basically. I think a couple of times he might have had Keo, not Gemma, but that's just player's choice. And so the first time I went for the joust. The first time I went for the try and trade and like get rid of the munitions. Yes, my munitions will be worse, but only 1 dice. Maybe luck can come into that. It didn't go well. Game 2, I was like, okay, so what happens if I pile in on Kanan, because he can't do it against himself, and I lost that, but it was a combo of not dice, but because it doesn't throw greens, but I managed to get 3 double modded torps that all had at least 1 blank, but that's not that bad. But combo that with the reinforce. And I'd played salvage on that game as well. And what I'd done is the classic salvage with Sabine, picked up a crate and scarpered with her. So I was looking at it for this game and I was thinking, right, well, what I want to do is try something different. Pick up a crate with Sabine, and then lob Sabine in, because A, if they're shooting Sabine, fine. And B, if I'm first player and I can block the Ghost so it's not getting that reinforce, then I should be able to get through it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like the game before, basically, he survived 1 more round than was ideal, and then you high in perception and lob 5 dice at someone. But yeah. So we are playing salvage. Apologies for people watching. I do move those dice in a minute. And we end up. I think I was first player for turn 0, but the objectives and the obstacles are largely irrelevant in the sense of the game. Oh no, not the game. The impact on the game, I suppose. But we end up with almost a man with his arms above his head. Like, you've got the centre objective. I place one as close in the middle down my edge as I can. There's one in my bottom right corner. And then left hand almost on the centre line, right hand on Chris's side just a little bit further back.
Yeah, it's essentially your side forms quite a close triangle with the centre one, and Chris's side is a very obtuse triangle. Like, he got a very flattened triangle. So essentially, in terms of picking up objectives, you've got two easy pickups, and Chris has two spread out pickups, and then there's the centre one. But you then decide to circle with rocks.
Yeah, so the rocks are pretty much placed in a circle. It's a very tight circle from the centre, as I'm looking at it, to the right around the centre objective, and then a slightly further left finger rock. And setup. Now, setup is not where I lose the game, but where I scupper my game plan. So I set up Sabine basically below the objective that's the bottom of the circle closest to me. It's right above the objective. Sorry, the obstacle. It's right above the objective on my side. My thinking being, I'm placing Chris would have placed Gemma first. And he places him centre. He can shoot towards the centre if he wants, or turn away. But that doesn't really tell me a whole lot because it's an RZ one. It can go wherever
Yeah,
it
it can
likes.
go basically wherever it likes. Like, especially the vectored cannons ones, because they can boost and then go wherever they like.
Yeah. So I set up Sabine. It is about opposite that. But my thinking, I'll see where Chris sets up the rest of his list. Barrel roll one way or another, hard one that way. Barrel roll, do a slow move again, pick up that crate, and then see where we're at to try and get her in. So yeah, then Chris sets up Kanan.
And he's in basically Chris's right hand side corner. Yeah, like basically as far ahead as he can. So there's a sizable gap in between Gemma and Kanan, and it looks like he's sort of set up to go forward and then sweep into the middle.
You can't see it, but his turret is pointed to the left for the dorsal.
Yeah.
Now, as I say, I've played Chris a few times, so I know exactly what's going to happen next. He'll end up setting up wedge and hole just inside that, and it's exactly what he does. He sweeps the three of them in. He'll pick up that crate because I'm not sure I win that joust. So I set up hole. Basically, just to the left, below a debris that's on the right hand side near an objective. My plan there being one straight, pick up that objective. Then I've got two. The likelihood of Chris picking up three is slim.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to let him pick up three.
It's that and the ships as well.
Yeah.
Like, Wedge really doesn't want to pick one up. Luke can get away with it, and obviously the Ghost is fine. And
I think Gemma can get away
I think it
with
depends on what you do with him. But yeah. So yeah, that's my 4. Then it's my 5. And I set up Luke on my right hand side. It's in a few ship spaces. It's basically just right of the debris I've set up hole to the left of, but I've set up Luke forward. Everyone else is against the back line. My thoughts there being, well, if Gemma decides he wants to sweep left and go for that objective, I'm going to give him a torpedo to think about. But where the obstacles are, I can go up that side and have quite a few easy turn-in lanes.
Yeah.
Because I want to slowball this, and I want the engagement. I want Chris to sweep in, because there's a hope that an obstacle gets slightly in the way of the optimum move, or it's easier for me to get a block because obstacles make it more predictable. I don't want to engage in the big open space, basically. So I'm happy for Luke to go up, take a turn or two out, try for a flank. If Chris turns everything towards him, he's got enough space to disengage. and then Wedge and Fen and Hole flank. And then we'll skip the Chris bit. He basically sets up Wedge and Luke, to the left of
in between Kanan and
basically, so they can all shoot past the objective that as he's looking at it on his bottom right and swing in. But they have got space to cut in if they want to.
Yeah, they got plenty of space to cut in, and this sort of thing like he's sort of setting up to pursue.
Yeah. So I set up Fen next, and I set him up facing along my board edge, looking to the right, basically so that he can do something like a 3 straight, turn 1, end up behind Keo, near Hull. Next turn, he can hard turn in behind them. Obviously, the Fang's a little bit faster than the Y-Wing, so I've got to take that into account. To get into range for swarm tactics so that they engage at the same time. And this is the bit that screws my early game and my game plan. Because what I've done is I've set up Fen too close to Sabine. She can't fit a barrel roll.
Ooh, that looks like it'd be close.
It is close. It is close. But I could have easily just avoided that by using the range 1 ruler and putting him range 1, because then you're 2.5 ship bases away. And I was planning on doing a 3 straight, another bit back. I just put in a 4. It's not like the Fang dial doesn't have that option. So yeah, it's not ideal. Because obviously, now I know where the Ghost is, I'm reasonably confident the X-Wings are... In fact, I know Luke's there at this point as well.
Yeah.
So I'm reasonably confident that Wedge is going there. So what I want is Sabine 2 barrel roll, 1 hard right. Then probably do something to keep her range 1, turn 2, and then come in on the left into the centre and swing round.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, I scupper that. And then I set up Wedge literally behind Fen, to the left of my board edge, but he's facing along the board edge. He's going to go reasonably slowly. Well, not slowly. But he's going to shoot along so he can... Basically, turn 2, I want to have the option of seeing what Chris has done. And if Chris has cut in, instead of coming down the edge, he could hard 2 to the asteroid and then barrel roll out the other side to come in from behind, or attempt to come in from behind. I want options, basically.
Yeah, options are always good. Although sometimes having too many options can screw you over.
Yes. But let's get into it as soon as I check what speed we're at. Yeah, cool. Okay. So we go to turn 1. And
let's get rolling.
It's Crispy first.
So we get to watch Sean in real time realizing his plan has failed.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to comment on what Chris was doing with the...
I was going to comment when after things have moved a bit, but Kanan essentially yeets forward as fast as he can and reinforces the front. Gemma, I believe that's just a 2 straight.
It's a 2 straight in a barrel roll.
Yeah, 2 straight in a barrel roll. And then Sean goes to activate Sabine and realizes that his barrel does not fit, and he just 1 hards.
Yeah, which it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
But what it means is Sabine can't pick up the objective that's closest to her now.
That's true.
So I have to change my game plan. Worth noting that I believe I've put the child on Fen and I think Luke.
I can't see the second token. I can see the one next to Fen.
Yeah, we'll find it. It might have been... I'm pretty sure it's Luke. But yeah.
Either way, it'll appear.
Yeah, Hull does a 1 straight, because plans.
And then Chris's Luke does a 4 straight and focuses.
I do a 4 straight. I attack speed boost. I did think about it for a second, because it basically cuts off the immediate turn in. But I wanted to present that threat to Gemma the next turn, because I can bank round, and then there's another turn in for the third turn, if needs be.
Yeah. It basically says if Gemma wants to go for that crate, Gemma has to face Luke.
Yeah.
And that's not really what you want.
Yeah. But I do barrel roll away, because I'm thinking about the 3 bank on the next turn, and it will leave my arc in a much wider position facing towards that.
Yeah. I like that. And then Wedge does a 4 straight. And does he focus? No, he just doesn't take an action because he's a G.
Yeah. And then I do a 4 straight with Fen. So he could have set up further back and done a 5. And I do a 3 straight with Wedge.
So then we're basically set up into Chris is pursuing you. Well, Gemma, I presume, is going to turn away from Luke because it's an A-wing.
Yes, and no, Chris is pursuing me, but I'm going to turn in because it's what I want to do. The problem I have, as I say, is I've now scuppered myself because Sabine
is not going to be able to grab that crate, so you're going to be down however many points.
But what I've actually done, and in hindsight, is the great thing about hindsight, is re-scuppered myself. Because what I do is I send Sabine to pick up the crate that Hull was going to pick up. And that then puts her out of the action for a couple of turns while she gets around that debris, because obviously she loses pre-position movements.
I mean, that's fine.
It is. But then Hull doesn't pick up a crate. What I think I should have done here was just barrel rolled Sabine to the left, cut her into the centre with a hard turn, do the one, because Luke and Wedge and the Ghost aren't getting a shot over there this turn.
No.
And I then could have done the one straight with Hull that I want to do, pick up the crate with him. And then Sabine's got options to then go and get another crate. She can boost, she could do a boost or a barrel roll and 5 straight down towards the one that Gemma's near. The centre one's an option.
I would say the one that Gemma's near, because Gemma shouldn't be turning in to pick that up.
It was my thought.
So that should be an open one.
But it leaves it more open, and it doesn't screw my original game plan. Like, my game plan was to have her in as a blocker to try and stop the reinforce on Kanan if I'm first player. And actually, I think her fulfilling that job in this specific matchup is probably more important than her ticking up a couple of points.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, yeah, spoilers, it's not what I do. I make an interesting choice, but we'll go to it.
So you're first player.
And I believe I'm pretty much first player for the rest of the game.
So, first things first, though, Gemma
is
doing a banky boost to Chris's right, so I'm assuming he's going to be turning into the centre.
Was my thoughts.
It banks into the centre with Gemma, just missed the debris and claims the centre objective.
Yes.
So that tells me that Chris is not expecting massive turn-ins from you.
Yeah.
Also, actually, now that I think about it, even if you did do massive turn-ins, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to get better than range 3 shots.
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't expecting an engage this turn.
Yeah.
Sabine does a barrel roll, and then I think it was the 4 straight, and picks up a crate.
Yeah, makes sense. I didn't see what bank with those. I think that was a 2 bank.
It was a 3 bank.
Because it's 3 bank from the Ghost.
It's the blue. It's the blue tin template.
And takes a forward reinforce.
It's Hull. I've put the child onto Hull and onto Fen, which actually makes sense because Hull I always get the locks wrong, and Fen is harder. It wants to focus. Luke can lock all day because he's got the force.
Force.
So.
The glorious force.
Yeah. So
anyway, so Hull moves forward.
Yeah. Well, just does one straight and then focuses because there's no crate for him to pick up.
Yeah.
And then Luke does a 3 bank.
Yeah, three banks around. So here's where you go. Do you go for the lock, or it looks like you do?
I don't think I'm range 1 of the objective, so I can't pick it up. So I go for the lock, and I do just have the lock.
Ooh, that does. So it's interesting. It doesn't look like you've got Gemma and Arc there, but at least you're range 3. Then Chris's Luke, that looks like it was a 1 straight.
Yes, and he picks up a crate.
Yep.
Fen 2 hards behind Hull. And spoilers for next turn, I should have done a 1 hard, but we'll get to that.
Oh, are you gonna bump?
No, I'm not gonna bump. And
Okay.
Wedge does a 2 hard, and then picks up the crate that Sabine was going to get. So
I think you shouldn't have done that.
I thought about it for a while, I have to admit. But I wasn't getting shot. And I didn't want to go 2 points down, or sorry, as in tick too many points down.
Yeah. Because, okay, so my reasoning for I don't think you should have done that is because I think Wedge is more important if he's able to boost and trigger all his stuff.
So I thought about that, but the way things are going, we're going to end up with a joust in the middle. If I just dial in something faster, Wedge bumps, his lock triggers off his red focus. So if I can bump into something and something's behind at range 1, then I can still fire the APT double modded.
Yes, that's true.
Was my thinking. And I was kind of in the, well, I've screwed myself, I'm in recovery, and Fen's not picking it up, so...
So this is where I think you shouldn't have thought that you were in recovery, because this is not... Like, and this is not like a disaster.
It's not, but it's only because of where Sabine is as well that, yeah. And I've played this list and I know how I need to not find a way of beating it, but yeah, I don't know.
We go into the next turn. It looks like
no.
Chris's Wedge does a 2 straight.
Yeah, he's just umming and ahhing whether to boost or not. He doesn't. Luke does not have Arc on Gemma, which is alright. I wouldn't have been firing the Pro Torp even if I did have Arc. But Luke has a decision to make now.
See, that's interesting, because I sure as heck would.
Really?
Make him drop the crate.
Obstruct it, maybe.
4 on 4, you've got mods, he hasn't got mods. If he flukes out of it, then fine. Yeah. But chances are you'd be putting a crit on.
Yeah, that's true. But it was irrelevant.
And it was irrelevant because it wasn't in there. But like, I think when you've got a Protop and we're playing crates, you lob a Protop at whoever's holding crates when you have the chance.
Yeah, that's true. And that actually would have made my decision the next turn a lot easier. Because I basically now have to decide, do I swing Luke in?
Yes, you do.
Or does Luke pick up a crate?
Luke swings in. You're already 2-2. Don't try go 3-3. You want to swing in, especially because Luke is a hammer, and he needs to be hammering.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the problem I have is I'm reluctant to lob a Torp because that Torp becomes a 3-dice Torp.
Yes, that's true.
So,
but at least for the sake of this, I think put the chance of putting a crit through, because he'd have to literally natty out.
Yeah,
he has no way to mod it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But to me, Luke should only go for this crate if Wedge and Fen are turning after Sabine, and Hol is just saying, "Well, I guess I'm the sacrifice."
Yeah. So yeah, I'm first player again. No systems.
Yeah, is that Gemma 3 banks into the center?
Yes.
So he's trying to catch a bump there. Looks like, and focuses.
Yeah. I do a 3 hard with Sabine and focus.
Kanan does a 1 bank, that looked like, and focuses.
And this is why I should have 1 harded with Fen. Because I do a 2 straight with Hull. Because I have to do a 2 straight because the Fang doesn't have a 1 straight. and my front arc is just past Gemma.
Yeah.
So I rotate, and I think I just leave it at the rotate actually. And I wonder whether I should have just linked it into a lock, precise astromech, because I can just one bank next turn to clear the stress. But...
yeah, I think that would have been worth it. It would have made people. It would have made question marks happen.
Luke does do a 2 hard in and takes the focus.
Yeah, I agree with that. Chris's Luke does a 1 bank and focuses. That's interesting.
Fen 2 hards in behind
2 straights.
Hull. Sorry, 2 straights. And Wedge does a 1 bank, I think that was, and takes a focus. And because I was like, well, at least I'm tucked behind the rock. Anything I should get shot is likely to be obstructed. I'll have It's a Trap for rerolls on defense.
Yeah. And then Chris's Wedge does a 2 hard. Alright, this is going to be an interesting one. So it looks like he barrels in front. Okay, so he barrels in front of Kanan and links it into a focus.
Yes.
And then we get to the shooting. So is this heightened perception?
I don't think he heightens perceptions on this one.
Okay, so this is just wedge into hull.
No.
Oh no, you swarm tactics.
I swarm tactics hull up. Yeah. So this is hull into I think wedge at range 2. Out the dorsal for 1 hit, which he dodges.
So why wedge there?
It might have been Gemma. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
It probably was Gemma. And I probably...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like shooting Gemma is the correct choice there, just because...
I might have just... Yeah, that's a good point. I should slow the dice down. Yeah, it probably was Gemma, and I just rolled 2 blanks. Slow that down. This will be Fen going into Gemma, because he has no other shot. And end up with 1 hit, because I don't really want... Oh, that'll be what it is. He's spending his Kanan charges.
Yeah.
But this is kind of what I wanted, is he's blowing through all his force on inconsequential shots, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, they are and they're not. Like, for me, I'm happy with this, because if he spends all his force, then I just...
And then you never shoot him.
I just don't shoot. Then I try and trade, wedge, Luke, because I've got Fen and I've got Hull, and if he can't take those dice away, that should odds in my favour. So I think this is
then we go over
his
wedge
wedge.
Shot.
I think has a range 3 into Luke. I'm trying to think if he takes that or he takes the one obstructed into wedge. He goes into Hull.
Like he goes into Hull. That's like 3 hits after a focus, and you roll 2 focuses.
Yeah.
So
shield damage.
A shield and a hull.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Then it's my Luke.
That's just how Y-Wings work.
It's my Luke, and I fire the primary, because I know he's going to Kanan it. I end up with hit crit.
He takes a strain to activate his ability and ends up with 3 evades, because he rolls evade, blank, blank, and takes a strain to change 2 of those to focuses. Yes. And then spends his focus.
And I think it was focus, blank, blank, but
yeah,
neither here nor there. So then we skip down to Kanan, because Luke has no shot.
Yeah.
And Kanan, I think, goes into Hull. And rolls 2 hits and 2 crits.
Oof.
I roll 1 evade.
So hit, crit, crit. Looks like a direct hit was in there somewhere.
I think it was a fuel leak, but yeah.
Okay, one of the other. Either way, you put 4 cards down for 3 damage.
And a damage sensor array. And then Hull Gemma range once and kills him.
Rolls, so gets the calculate from the thingy, rolls hit as the focus, spends the calculate for 3, and Hull is dead.
Yeah. Kanan spent 3 of his 4 force. I think I was a little unlucky to take so many crits, but yeah.
But really, I don't know.
If I'd been able to 1 straight, then at least I would have fired the APT into Gemma, and then And then there's that's still 4 dice even with the Kanan. But
Why would the 1 straight have gotten you the APT?
because the 2 straight put the arc just past his.
Yeah, but surely the 1 straight you're at range 2 anyway.
No, I don't think so. Like it was. No, maybe.
Because like the 1 straight you where Fen is now, basically, right?
Would have been a little further forward. Not much, but a little further forward than that. But because Fen 2 straighted from behind, so a 1 straight plus the. Yeah, it's like a quarter of a ship space forward.
Yeah.
Would have been close, but at least the option would have been there, so. Yeah.
Maybe I just don't know Y-Wings enough, but in my head I was like,
well,
barrel roll?
Okay,
I guess you can't
it's
link
red,
it.
so I can't do the precise astromech off
Yeah.
it because he's not wedge. But yeah, so now I'm like, okay. Now I'm 5-2 behind.
Now you're behind.
And
Gemma is in perfect blocking spot.
it's more the fact that Sabine's just still out of it. But the important thing is I've gone through 3 of Kanan's 4 force, which means if I alpha into somebody, he's only getting rid of 1. And alright, Fen's not got a torpedo, but we all know what a Fang can do at range 1, so.
Exactly.
And also what it can tank. The game before this took an APT from Wedge and ended up taking 1 damage, so. God, I love Concordia and Beskar.
So, Luke just 1 straights, right?
Just worked out why it's going so slowly, because I haven't sped it back up.
Yeah. But we can just have a quick check. So Luke like 1 straights, and I don't know, Fen 3 bank, Wedge 2 hard, I guess.
Wedge is 2 hard.
1 bank.
Wedge 2 hard. I think Fen does a 3 bank. I'm pretty sure Sabine just hard turns in because.
Yeah, Sabine hard turns in, and Luke does a 1 straight. So, like, that's my thing. Because then all of Chris's ships are flowing in. Gemma's going to try and block something. You can't stop that.
So, yeah. Gemma rotates in the system phase.
Then looks like a 2 bank and bumps into Wedge and takes a red focus.
Yes.
Sabine does a 3 hard in and focuses. Kanan, that looked like a 2 straight over the top of Wedge.
That was a 2 straight over the top of Wedge. And I believe reinforces.
Yeah, reinforces front, makes sense. 1 straight from your Luke, and then what do you do?
So, I make an interesting choice throughout this entire game from this point onwards. And I'm not sure if it's right. I pretty much, particularly with Luke, and I think with almost everyone else, don't take target locks. Because that's now going to trigger Ursa Wren.
Yeah.
Which means Kanan's getting locks. But actually, I think I just should have.
I think you just should have, because I think Ursa Wren is just the price of doing business in this.
Well, it's that, and it's also he's only got 1 force left, and unless I shoot him, he's only got 1 force. That means he can only heighten perception once.
Yeah, I was gonna say or he's defending a friend once, and then he's shooting after everything else of yours shot.
Exactly. Like, I think I should have just taken a target lock onto Wedge here, but because I don't.
Yeah, I think you should have as well.
But yeah, I make that choice, and I think it's the wrong choice in hindsight. Like maybe if Kanan had been at full force, fine. But the fact he's down to 1, I think you should just go lock. But I don't. I take the focus because I'm thinking instinctive aim.
So Chris's Luke does a 1 bank and takes a target lock onto Fen. It looked like he was reaching for there.
I think he was just measuring to see who he has, and I think he does lock Fen. Fen does a 2 bank, I think that was.
Okay, that's fine. You fit in there.
I don't remember what I do. Just take
just
a focus.
Just a focus. And then you do a 2. Ooh, does that help? 2 hard with your Wedge.
Yeah, and I think it bumps into Fen.
Ah, okay.
Just catches Fen.
That's unfortunate. No damage though.
I mean, it was
the bigger
close.
problem is the lack of action.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. So
Chris's Fen bumps into the back of Kanan.
yes, he does.
Boy, I bet you wish you'd taken that target lock.
Yeah, and I wish that my wedge has a focus, because most importantly, my wedge did take a damage, by the way. It's lost a shield.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong side.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I know the overlays are all the way around. Most importantly, Wedge is not in one of Kanan's arcs.
Yes, this is true. He's not defendable.
Which Chris,
I believe is Luke, right? Or is Luke in the side?
I don't know, to be honest. But so I swapped tactics, Luke.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I instinctive aim a torpedo into Wedge. Chris goes, flips the false and goes Kanan, and I go, haha, no. So we get that one back. And I roll crit, or crit hit, I don't know. I end up with hit, crit. And Wedge takes a chunk. I think I chuck it all down in a second.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, Chris has not got his cards along the side of the board.
No, that would be.
So we cannot see what he's done. So
we'll
have to see. It looked like he rolled a single evade.
Yeah, spoilers. Wedge lives.
Yeah.
I go into him with Fen, and I go in with my Wedge, who I think plinks a damage through and gets a focus. Oh, I don't know. But Wedge is basically on 2, so yeah. His Wedge is on 2, and then he shoots back at me. I'm guessing my Wedge missed, because I don't have a focus. Fen takes a shit ton, and I had to Beskar one of them away, and I end up with, I can't remember what the crits are, I'm sure I'll do it in a second.
Yeah, so that was Wedge shooting into Fen. Yeah. And quite unfairly dealt 3 damage with, looks like 1 or 2 crits, 3 crits, because you've cancelled one and took 2 more.
Yeah, he just rolled well out of hand, so it's what it is. I have no idea what that is, because
I have no idea who's attacking it. It's got. I mean, at this point, it's got to be down to like Sabine, doesn't it? And then this must be Kanan's shot.
So that would have been Sabine,
because there's 5 attack dice in there. So Kanan's rolled looks like 2 hits, 3 focuses.
1 hit, 4 focuses.
Okay.
But also I didn't think. Yeah. 1 hit, 4 focuses.
I'm guessing into Fen.
I think it goes into Wedge. Surely you go into my Wedge. I don't know. We'll just let this roll, and maybe it was. Yeah, it was Fen. So basically, at the end of that, I've plinked Wedge down to 1 health, but I've lost Fen, and it's like 14-6 at this point.
Yeah. Kanan has spent the last of his force.
Yeah. And it's like,
so at this point, it's hard.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's hard, and I think it's hard because Hull just died without doing much. Like,
yeah.
At least if I plinked off a crate, I'd plink and also if he'd got an APT, or even not an APT, if he just got a range 1 double modded shot, if Chris had to do the ability there, then you're taking a strained torpedo from Luke, or it's if and buts. But we'll get into the next round because it's pretty much the one that seals it for me.
Because I'm looking here, Fen's dead, so no more I6, Luke and Sabine. Kanan has no force, which is great, but it also the problem with not shooting Kanan, it's an interesting one, is that he's still a ghost.
Yeah. He most certainly is.
Gemma is presumably out. Gemma has a crate. Gemma wants to just survive for a couple turns.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Lukes do. I'm guessing Chris's Luke 1 straight target lock kill something.
Yeah.
Wedge, his Wedge either dies or doesn't die. He's in a spot above her, and Kanan, I'm just guessing, will just the slowest move forward and just accept bumpage.
Yeah. So away goes Gemma with his 2 bank and a focus.
Yeah, 2 bank focus.
So-
happy days.
Sabine goes for a block into Kanan, just does a 5 straight, I think, and does a focus. Now,
Bank
I'd
focus.
originally thought about banking her away. But then I thought,
No.
well, then I thought to myself, well, if I block, Kanan and then I bump Wedge into Kanan, but like if I've done in a 2 straight, so it catches Kanan but goes over Sabine, then I get the red focus. Then I can trigger the lock. I've still got an APT to fire.
Yep. All of these are good.
The issue is I set Wedge's dial when I was still thinking about banking Sabine, and then I might have forgotten to change it.
Oh, that will be bad.
Yeah, that would be.
So it looks like Kanan does bump because
Kanan
he
does,
just takes a red
yeah.
focus.
Luke does a 1 straight and takes a focus, and I should have just locked his Luke.
Just lock.
I should have just locked his Luke. Because his Luke 1 straights and locks my Luke.
Yep.
And then Wedge does a 1 straight because I forgot that I'd moved, and
So
takes
bumps
a
into
damage.
friendlies. Yeah.
And takes a damage.
Then looks like we're measuring for Chris's wedge. Is he doing like a 5k or something?
I think he's doing a 4 straight or something.
Okay.
He's out of there.
4 straight just to try and get out, and he is.
He is. I believe he boosts.
Yeah. Boost, take it to pleat. Happy days.
So my wedge goes into Luke and a chip off a shield.
And there's a crit in there, so drops the crate.
Drops the crate.
And then your Luke goes into
his Luke. And I take him down to 2 with a direct hit. His Luke goes back into my Luke, and I lose a shield.
Alright, that's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
And then Kanan throws the hammer.
And
doesn't seem to have accomplished much unless you haven't updated the thing yet. And then we've got Sabine's shot.
Well, I mean, there's a shed load of damage on somebody, so I'm guessing that I haven't done it. And hang on, is that it? Yeah, so I must do the overlay in a second because I've done points. Yes, his Luke's on 2, his Wedge is on 1.
Gemma's out, stars a focus. Sabine appears to still be alive. It looks like
Wedge is on 1.
Wedge is down to 1.
I just haven't overlaid it. Yeah, Wedge is down to 1. But more importantly, he still has the crate.
Yep. So all those crits came in early for Chris.
But it's 15-8.
Yeah. And you're running out of time.
But the interesting thing is if I'd had a focus on Wedge for that shot the turn before, and I'd killed his Wedge,
it would be a much closer game.
It would be 13-15 at the moment.
Yeah. It would be insanely close.
But yeah, that made the mistakes.
Because I feel like at this point for Chris, he's just playing, okay, Gemma get out, his Luke get out, Wedge get out. If you pile into Kanan, you shouldn't be able to kill him before you run out of time.
This is realistically the last turn. There's like 6.5 minutes left. You just leave. And I was pretty confident at this point that I just can't do it. So, but again, it's just small little things that are costing me.
So what I want is your Sabine to go and try and catch Gemma. Anyway, so there's a 2 hard from Gemma and a focus. What does your Sabine do?
I don't think she goes to go and catch Gemma. She 3 banks away because I don't want to lose the crate, and I stay stressed.
Looks like you just remove the ghost to make things easier.
Yeah, Kane has just gone forward and bumped into Wedge.
Yep, makes sense.
Luke shoots through.
Yep, I like that.
Attack speed's barrel rolls, so he's range 1.
Yeah, attack speed boost, then barrel rolls to get range 1 of Gemma. Still got that target lock from 17 billion years ago.
Exactly.
Chris Luke 3 banks away and just takes a focus. And then what does your wedge do?
3 hard.
3 hard around. All right, so this is the turn that we go for Gemma.
I mean, yeah.
You had no other choice, but
I'd lost it at that point, but like maybe I can claw some victory points back. Like it is what it is. And I focus because I obviously have a crate, so I don't have much other option. My wedge.
You do trigger your astromech to get a lock, and Kanan takes a lock on you thanks to Ursa.
Yeah, but that's fine because I wasn't in his arc.
And then Chris's wedge does like a 4K.
Yeah,
Makes sense. There was probably no one going to be shooting at him.
Yeah. So none of the 6s are shooting. So it's just my Luke going into Gemma at range 1, and I plink off a shield. But I can drop the crate. Luke. So, small mercies. And then that's literally it. And then we discuss.
Basically, what it kind of get into is you don't say mess like the engage. You messed up the engage in that. I don't know if you all got to shoot at the same ship. It's just that it was into a Kanan ship.
Yeah. So
like
for me,
defended ship.
For me, the initial gauge in that sense was fine because I plinked through 3 of Kanan's force, and I wasn't taking like the wedge and the Luke shots back.
Yeah,
like I was happy for him to. But for me, I got the engage happened exactly where I wanted. It's just my execution was wrong because Sabine needed to be in there to do Sabine stuff. Yes, I can't block Gemma, but also. It's unless she's got a crate. I mean, she probably would have had a crate at that point. But like, all right, if you block Sabine, fine. But probably I'll just probably dial in a fast maneuver to get over a small base.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't one straight anyway. So, but it was like having to pick up the crate with wedge, and it might have been a mistake. Although he kept that the entire game.
Yeah, that is true that he kept that the entire game, but
and ticked up half my points.
Yes, also true. I just think that wedge with the ability to barrel roll and boost is a lot more valuable than a wedge that can't.
Yeah. I mean, the flip side of that is I don't think there was anywhere there that I could have barrel rolled or boost. But I mean, that's obviously
that's hindsight. Like, I think you can't know that going.
No. But it goes back to he wouldn't have had to do that if I'd just been thinking about making.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to barrel roll with Sabine. Like, she sat behind a rock, or with a rock in front of her. You were going to do something. Don't place a ship that cuts one of those options off, especially when you can legally measure to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then just ditto the whole, because if Ben had been a little further back, then he wasn't getting shot by anyone except Gemma. He had a focus, even at range 2, and I know Fangs hate range 2. Like, the odds are still reasonable on that.
Yeah.
So that's on me. But I mean,
and also I think also Chris just sort of played his list well.
Yeah,
like
But I mean, ended 10-15, so it wasn't like it was a.
And with Wedge and Luke on the verge of death, that could very easily have been 20-15.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's still I mean, to be fair though, his Luke's 2 health.
No, that's what I mean. Like, had you killed his Wedge and Luke, all of a sudden this is 20-15 to you.
Yeah, but also my Wedge is on 1 health.
Yeah.
So 4 damage in a slight change of direction, and it's 20-20.
Yeah.
Like, it's closer than it looked. And I think just I got to practice it and play it. I'm taking it to an event as we're recording tomorrow, as you guys are listening. The Saturday just gone, so we'll see how we get on there. And then I've got an event next week in Plymouth that I would probably be taking it to as well. So it's a good list. Like
solid.
spoilers
Nothing wrong with it.
spoilers for a future episode. Sam and I played last night that we recorded, and I literally fed whole to the wolves on that game to you, and then it still held its
Hey!
own. So
It's a remarkable similarity here.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't think I necessarily fed whole to the wolves, like, but yeah,
Yeah.
like I think Kanan's shot was close enough. Like, I think the problem I had is that was it. It's because I picked up the crate that turn, and so I didn't have a focus.
Right.
Because Kanan's hit crit shot. I rolled 2 focuses because it was range 3, so that would have been 2 less damage. And if I'd been able to do the 1 straight, I might not have even been in range of him. So, but yeah, that's for future. But no, it's
for
fun.
the future.
It's fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, it looks it. It is interesting. It has a lot of punch. It has deceptively scary punch. If I'm gonna take one mistake, I think your refusal to target lock with Luke in this case.
I agree. And to be fair, it's very this game specific because it is this game specific. And I probably wouldn't do it again in a rematch. But not a lot of people fly Ursa Wren, so it's not. Yeah. And more to the point, not a lot of people fly Ursa Wren on a ghost. So
yeah, let me just check. Ursa Wren. Oh, it's perform a target lock action. So yeah, when he's stressed after he's red focused, he can't even do it. Nope. So
and he can only do it once. And
yeah.
But yeah. No, I agree. In hindsight, I think you just take it.
Yeah.
And suck it up. But yeah, no, it's fun. That's all there is to really say about that one, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's just. Yeah, there's not really much we can go into it after that one.
Like, those were the mistakes, and they mounted up enough to cost me, I think. Particularly, I think what nail in the coffin was the wedge bump into Sabine.
Yes, yeah, that was the end as it was. Because although I think you got a little bit lucky, and you did get your focus after hitting your shot.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did, and I don't think my shot hit, which was the point.
Okay.
Because I don't remember putting the focus down, because I commented when we were watching it back, and yeah, because I got a sneaking suspicion. I rolled paint, but no hits or crits. So a focus would have, if I put one through, wedge is dead, and then I've got a focus on defense. I mean, my wedge survived as well, but
yeah.
It's just, those are the little things that swing the game, so yeah. Right, well, we better wrap it up for this week.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with what should we bring? We got plenty of choice now.
Yes, we've built up a few episodes because Sam is jollying off to the other side of the world
for a couple of weeks.
But we didn't want you guys to miss out, so we'll pre-record some episodes for while he's away. I actually quite think we should probably do the me versus you from last night, because that was a good game.
Yeah, that was a good game. We've also got me versus Chris to go back to.
Yeah, you versus Chris.
Very interesting end.
And I think a me versus Steve. So, although that one is an interesting game, but all the action happens right at the bottom of the screen. Although, if you're not watching and listening, it's not really an issue, but yeah. Well, I'm wittering on, so I'll tell myself off and say see you guys next week.
See you guys later. Now I'm off to London.